the gentleman from Northern Virginia, and yield myself 10 seconds to express my great appreciation and admiration for his concern for these federal employees, many of whom, many federal employees reside in his district, and even some of these 1,900 likely reside in the gentleman's district. I appreciate him coming forward to champion this bill.
Gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Connolly, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I rise in strong support of this bipartisan legislation compensating those federal transportation employees who were unfairly furloughed on March 1st and 2nd because of a lapse in the Highway Trust Fund. I also want to thank my good friend, the chairman of the Transportation Infrastructure Committee, Mr. Obastar, and the ranking member, Mr. Micah from Florida, for their great leadership and their sensitivity, and Mr. Cobble from North Carolina for his support on this on a bipartisan basis. Their leadership is just critical to resolving this problem. H.R. 4786 is a simple, common sense bill, as the chairman has indicated. It would compensate the 1,922 Department of Transportation employees who were forced out of their jobs for 2 days because of political gamesmanship on the other side of the Capitol. These employees were spread across 4 agencies, as the chairman indicated, at DOT, the Federal Highway Administration, the Motor Carrier Safety Administration, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and the Research and Innovative Technology Administration, were furloughed through no fault of their own. They became unwitting victims of an arcane practice in the upper chamber that allows one member's objection, irrespective of merit, to grind to a halt the work of the American people. As my colleagues recall, an objection by one senator from Kentucky led to the lapse of authorization for the Highway Trust Fund, despite the objections of 21 of his Republican colleagues, a majority of the Republican caucus, who supported the ultimate extension on a 78-19 vote. This bill does 2 simple things. It authorizes those workers who were furloughed to be compensated for their normal rate of pay for the 2 days in which they were laid off, and it ratifies actions taken by DOT during those 2 days to maintain minimum essential services. The Congressional Budget Office says this legislation has no new cost associated with it, as the chairman indicated, as the funding will come from existing expenses. By taking action now, this Congress will prevent a 20% cut in the next biweekly paycheck for these dedicated public servants. There is a clear precedent for this type of restorative action, dating back to the much longer government shutdown in the late 1995, early 1996 period during the Clinton administration. During that period, there were 2 funding gaps totaling 26 days that affected more than 800,000 federal workers. As part of the final appropriations bill for FY 1996, the Republican-controlled Congress restored compensation for those employees. It was the right thing to do then, and it's the right thing to do now. I thank Chairman Obastar for his leadership and his collaboration and generosity on this important legislation, and I urge my colleagues to vote yes. I yield back to the chairman.
Gentleman reserves the balance of time. Gentleman from North Carolina.